A 350-year-old mummified head found in Bolivia is challenging long-held assumptions about its origin and significance. What was once believed to be the preserved remains of an Inca man has now been revealed to belong to a different cultural group entirely. And the story behind the skull is far more complex than anyone expected. But here's where it gets controversial. The skull shows clear signs of deliberate incisions, possibly linked to ritualistic practices rather than medical treatment or injury. This discovery not only reshapes our understanding of the individual's identity, but also highlights the importance of respecting the cultural context of ancient remains. The recent study, led by museologist and art historian Claire Prezan, from the Cantonal Museum of Archaeology and History in Lausanne, Switzerland, aimed to place this mummified head back into its rightful archaeological and cultural framework. Prezan emphasizes that these remains are not just artifacts or bones in a collection. They represent real people with their own histories and stories. Published on August 27th in the International Journal of Osteoarchaeology, the research examined the head in detail, which includes the preserved skin, facial features, skull, jaw, and part of the neck. One striking feature is the roughly conical shape of the top of the skull, which bears a significant lesion from an attempted trepanation, a surgical procedure involving drilling or cutting a hole into the skull bone. Interestingly, the trepanation does not appear to have been performed as a response to trauma or injury. Instead, the researchers suggest it may have served a ritualistic or social function, a practice not uncommon in some ancient cultures. This raises fascinating questions about the beliefs and customs of the people to whom this individual belonged. For context, trepanation was a known practice among the Incas, who mastered the art of drilling holes in skulls, sometimes to treat ailments or as part of spiritual rituals. However, this particular case stands out because the procedure was never completed. The incisions were deep, but did not penetrate all layers of the bone. The head was collected in Bolivia and is believed to be that of an adult male who lived at least 350 years ago. The man had undergone cranial deformation during childhood, a practice where an infant's head is tightly bound over several years to alter its shape. This was a common cultural tradition in pre-Columbian South America, often signifying social status or group identity. The study also delves into the provenance of the head. It was donated to the Lausanne Museum in 1914 by a Swiss collector who had acquired it in Bolivia during the 1870s. A note attached to the specimen identified it as Inca, but the researchers found that the style of cranial deformation aligns more closely with the Aymara people, an indigenous group native to the Bolivian Highlands. Moreover, the note indicated the head was found in a region now known to be inhabited by the Aymara. The researchers believe it was likely taken from a chullpa, a type of stone burial tower common in that area, where natural mummification occurred due to the cold, dry climate. Respecting the dignity of the individual, the research team employed only non-invasive methods to study the head. Unlike radiocarbon dating or DNA analysis, which require taking physical samples and can damage the specimen, their approach avoided any destructive testing. This decision reflects ethical considerations, acknowledging that the deceased could not consent to invasive procedures. Claudine Abegg, the study's lead author and an anthropologist at the University of Geneva, explained that while more precise techniques like isotopic or genetic analysis could yield additional insights, such decisions should involve consultation with communities connected to the individual. Currently, the mummified head remains in the museum's collection but is not on public display. Prezan noted that although no formal requests for repatriation have been made, the museum remains open to dialogue on the matter, Adding an expert perspective, Julia Gresky, a paleopathologist at the German Archaeological Institute who was not involved in the study, remarked that she had never encountered a skull exhibiting both cranial deformation and an attempted trepanation. She pointed out that since there was no visible trauma to explain the trepanation, it likely had ritual or social significance. However, she admitted the reason why the procedure was left incomplete remains a mystery. Perhaps the individual simply refused to continue. This discovery opens up intriguing debates about ancient medical practices, cultural identity, and the ethics of handling human remains. What do you think? Should museums prioritize scientific inquiry over cultural sensitivity, or vice versa? And how do we balance the desire to learn from the past with respect for those who lived it? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below. Tom Metcalf is a freelance journalist based in London, UK, who regularly contributes to Live Science. He specializes in topics related to science, archaeology, space, Earth, and ocean exploration, and has written for outlets including BBC, NBC News, National Geographic, and Scientific American.